Alright, here we are. We're on the drill press. Now, the only reason I would use the mill table instead of the drill press for this is if I was squaring up the receiver exactly to my mill table and then doing the holes on the x-axis with, trusting the accuracy of my mill, which is very good, but we're not going to do that this time because I suspect most of you only have a drill press. This is a clamping kit. You can get these for mills, but they work very well on a drill press. And we've got this at an angle because there's no way we're going to get it square enough to matter. So I'm just not even going to try. I'm not even going to try to fool myself. Okay? Clamping kit keeps everything solid. Getting one of these is worth it even if you only have a drill press, if you do any sort of work like this. This is a what they call a milling table or an XY table for a drill press. This I think I got from Shars. Might have been a different company though. But this is one of the better ones. This isn't the really loose one that you get from Harbor Freight for $40. This is more like a $100 item, and it's well worth the investment if you do any sort of machine work with a drill press. Okay? The instructions do not mention using a center drill. This is a center drill, and I apologize for the lighting. I don't have the best lighting over in this side of the shop, but that's a center drill. And the idea of a center drill is that it helps you start a hole in a well-centered fashion because the drill bit is stiffer and won't bend as much as a regular drill bit. We're going to get ourselves down here where I can start to see where I'm going. And again, the only reason we're doing that is to mark the hole and get it started. So one thing I do is I spin when I'm putting a drill bit in just to make sure I'm not crooked. I'm sure you guys all know this. That sound you hear is the fact that this is a relatively cheap drill bit. It's not a carbide tips number 29. These do tend to get dull really fast, especially if you're using the cheaper Harbor Freight stuff. So I'm going to show you the trick. This is a 3mm carbide drill bit, which is smaller. So we're going to use that to pre-drill the hole, and then we'll finish out with the number 29. 3mm is a very common size if you do any gunsmithing work on AKs and SKSs. That's why I have this. So now we're going to go ahead and tap it. Now this is just something I do when I'm working on a drill press or something. I just get the tap held with the drill chuck. I'm not going to turn the drill on, of course, but this just helps keep things straight while I begin my tapping process. And I'm just putting some light pressure on the hand wheel up here. In general, I say it's better to just go ahead and go slow and gentle with these smaller taps rather than trying to overdo it. You can push them harder than I do, and I'll push harder with some really high quality taps that I've ordered from known company. But this is part of a regular tap set, so I don't tend to push these very hard. Back off if you feel some weird pressure. Check what's going on. Breaking a tap really sucks. So we're definitely through. It's moving very easily now. Backing it out. When you get to the end, tend to just do this, not torque on the handle, because I just don't want to torque anything over. There we go. That is tapped. Now we should be able to put this on. Get the first screw in. Go ahead and check our threads here before I put the plate on. Threaded on pretty well, so that part's not bad. Now we've got a slight problem with this, in that it's just a little bit. Slight problem here is that this is just a little bit tighter than our screw holes, or than our screw threads. So this is not a clear. This is not a good clearance drill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hand reamer. I'm just going to go from the back here, and I'm just going to kind of clean these holes just a little bit. See if that helps any. There we go. Just a tiny bit of cleaning. And you should expect to do that anytime you're working with machine tools anyway. Now, squaring this up becomes something of a chore. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get a parallel on here. This is a piece of 1/8 inch precision rod. You could use shims or anything. What you want to do is get this visually squared up as much as possible. Unlike a Russian mount, this one is not going to have a whole lot of options for squaring the mount itself. It's all going to be in your scope, in your optic. That's not horrible. That looks about right. Looks right lined up with these. These two are identical. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp that. Okay, I have it clamped. Now I'm going to go ahead and double check this. There's a lot of ways you can do that. One of the things I might do is back this off a little bit and get a machinist square on here. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, all I'm really doing here is moving it enough that I can get my smallest machinist square into this section right here. So running on the bottom of the receiver, you could see it's very slightly off, but I don't know if the bottom of the receiver is off. So saw that? That was the clamping force moving things around. And that does happen. Perfect. This is a 4mm and it actually is a little bit tighter. So we're going to go ahead and try to get everything centered with this. That's it. Centered. Pretty easy. Alright, had to take a quick break and run an errand there. We're back, and we pre-drilled this hole a little bit. So we're ready to go. I use the carbide undersized bit again on this. So you could probably do this with a 3.5mm drill bit, and I have a carbide 3.5mm drill bit, but you're going to get 1.3 or 0.1377 inches instead of 1.36 inches. So you're going to be off by 1/1000th, which is a certain amount of your thread depth. Again, I've done it before, and it works just fine in a lot of applications. I don't know that I would want to do it on this application, so I'm not. And I'm just opening up the hole a little bit with the number 29 drill bit. My last one, I need to order some more. I've broken a couple of those. And there we go. So these last two holes should be much easier to thread because you're not actually sitting on the edge of your mount here. And we're ready to move on to the next one. So in a previous video I did the Coate mount, which has a different hole pattern. I wanted to actually tell you that Crazy Ivan does make a mount that matches that hole pattern, so that if you have that hole pattern you can replace it directly with one of these. I think you still want to add a hole to it because the Coate uses 2 and it uses 3, but it's spaced out and it's longer, and the purpose is specifically so that you can use your existing holes from a Coate mount. Now the Coate, of course, is non-removable, doesn't have the thumb screws, and that's the main difference that you're looking at here. The other big difference with the Coate is that I had to file in some notches to make it actually work as a pick rail, because it just had 2. It wasn't a full pick rail, Picatinny rail, like the Crazy Ivan is. Okay, so far so good. Looks like we're getting there. Back it off periodically, breaks the chips, keeps things from getting bound up. No problem. In a through hole like this, if you were using taps that you had gotten for a job, I would have used a push forward, because these are through holes, so something that pushes the chips, breaks the chips and pushes them forward. I use that style of tap a lot for some other projects I do on a regular basis. But in this case, I'm still struggling along with a Ace Hardware tap and die set that I have, and the number 8 32 is just one of those tabs. Okay, all looks pretty good. Time to take this back to the workbench, clean it up, and see about doing some final mounting. Back over here, this is where we would put this on. I think that's pretty workable. It's not tight yet. That's actually a good question. What does it take to get this tight? And we'll see how repeatable it is. It's not really a good see-through. It's a very low mount. That's a good thing. So this would be removed if you wanted to use the iron sights. I don't have a problem with that. All right, let's go ahead and take this off, clean it up, and thread lock it on. I like their mounting system for the bar. I'm not completely sold on the idea that it's better. Well, let me rephrase that. I think this is a good system. I'm not sure that it's better than adapting a Russian mount. However, a Russian mount is going to cost you, at this point in history, over $100 by the time you're done. And it's not designed to fit on the SKS receiver, so you're going to have to do some more serious work on it. I think this one worked out very well so far. The only thing I would say is that the next one, and I did get 2 of these so that I could do the other one on the mill. The next one I'm going to go ahead and do on the mill, measured, lined up, just to see if it goes a little more smoothly. I think this one is going to be just fine though. I'm using alcohol to degrease everything. Make sure we're good. Alright, that part is done. Now we have to contend with the stock. You can see this well enough. That's our spot. We're going to have to cut down, and in this case, because we don't have the end of the stock here, because this is not the standard wood stock, we're going to have to cut in both spots. Come in here, back to here. As you can see, we have it inletted now. We got most of the cleanup done. Okay, everything is clean, oiled, and ready to go. I already put the magazine back on. So we're going to go ahead and assemble this. And our new plain receiver cover here. I'm used to doing this by feel. It's kind of hard to feel it with that there. Alright. We're back together. Let's see how this goes. Sight adjustment tool out of the cleaning kit. Let's see if that works. Not quite. Well, no. That one went in just fine. Let me find the angle. There you go. So your cleaning kit has another purpose. Alright, carving out this stock was kind of interesting. I'm not sure how long this stock is going to last in the project. It was fun to try, and we'll go ahead and shoot it out, but we may be switching back to a traditional wood stock and getting rid of the pistol grip. and using some sort of cheek riser. We'll get to that part later. Right now, we have to see if this is going to maintain a 0. What optic are we going to use on this, though? Well, I got a Primary Arms 4-power compact scope. I wanted something that was short enough to deal with on the stripper clips. So stripper clips are still very usable here, okay? And with this short 4X, I think we're in a good position to work with that. Now the problem is that the mount for this may be just a little bit high, because it has a co-witness riser in it. So we're going to go ahead and work on that as well. And we'll get out of close-up mode, which makes it a little harder for you to see me actually screw screws, but you can see the whole rifle better. So the other option I really have is to use a, this is a Hilux 1-to-4 power, and it is a really nice optic. But to clear what we've got to clear, it has to be mounted way back here. And I think that's just going to be too far back for me to do anything with. That's why we're using the compact fixed power 4X ACSS reticle. So the riser on these is removable, and this is theoretically a, I guess an ACOG mount or something. You could actually, if you have the right mounting plate, like if I was using an RS Regulate on an AK, I could actually mount this directly on and not worry about this part. In this case, we're going to go ahead and do this. It's theoretically possible that I could use the mount itself and drill it and actually have it work. So what that would involve is actually getting it milled out so it sits right on there, right in the groove. That would give me a little bit less height, bore offset, but I don't think we're going to be in a big spot of trouble with that once I've got the riser off. I did get some smaller screws because these are going to be way too long without the middle riser piece. That looks like that's going to work just fine. Now we'll back it out. And thread lock it. The reason I opted for the 4-power as a fixed power is that I think it's going to be better for the ranges I'm looking at. Yeah, you can get a 2.5 power fixed power low power optic, and that's fine. I don't really see getting a lot of use out of the ACSS reticle with a 2-power or a 1-power. So I went with a 4. Also, it was on sale. There we go. Let's go ahead and throw that on. By the way, these are M5 0.8 millimeter thread pitch screws on the bottom of the Primary Arms fixed power compact scope. Don't know if that's going to matter to you. We've got actually a lot of adjustment room on this for eye relief, so let's give it a shot off camera here. And I think we are ready to go shoot now. That looks like it's going to be a very comfortable optic to use. We'll see about the chin weld height aspects in a little bit. And so the next stop is out at the range. Remember to like, share, subscribe, give me some support. There's a paypal.me linked in the description below, as well as Patreon if you want to do a recurring kind of thing. I'm going to get this all tightened up, and we're going to go put it on paper.